crossing the Irish Sea to the Emerald Isle. The majority of people in Ireland are in favour of tougher rules on migration to reduce the large numbers coming into the country, which is already struggling with a housing crisis. You've heard us speak about it on here already. Almost 60% of Irish voters want a more closed policy, and this is unusual, they've never been like this before, with tensions over immigration building in Ireland ahead of a general election expected this year. And there have been anti-migrant riots, protests and even arson attacks. Now, this is unusual. Remember, Ireland is part of the EU still. What do you make of this story? I mean, they're quite shocking statistics involved, Claire, aren't they?
Well, there are, but hardly surprising given the terror attacks that happened in Dublin a good while ago. But Leo Varadkar as well, the President Taoiseach of Ireland, he's in a very precarious position, I would say, because he is a member state of the EU. But then to want tougher borders, where are these illegal immigrants coming from? Because they're not coming via the north, they're not coming from Belfast and crossing that way. So where are they coming from? How do they get there? And lots of Irish Republicans do not want the north to be encapsulated back into the south because of reasons, not only because of the religious divide. Take that away. I'm not making that as a point at the moment. Is because they don't want the burden of power and the burden of supporting those from the north to implement them within their social services network, their health network as well. And I'm afraid it's actually good news because they're actually focusing on something that we feel very, very concisely about in this country, is about the high levels of immigration and what we can do to do it, what we can do to solve it, where we can put them. We don't have the infrastructure, we don't have the housing to support the numbers that are coming in. And it's all very well for the lefty lefts to wave their flag and saying, oh, let's invite everyone in. It's not just our shores. I'm sorry, but charity does start at home, Dawn. And I think we have to realise there's a load of disenfranchised population out there, and that will come, the time will come when we're going out to vote, and we will vote, hopefully, with our feet and show the Conservative Party, show the Labour Party, show, in fact, every political party how we're feeling. Because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And for Ireland to be quite it's got a lot of parity in its views, in its policies. For them now, for the Irish people now to start saying, we think we've got a problem with this, I think the optic is we've all got a problem with it and we all need to address it.
And this is the surprise here, though, isn't it, Emma? I mean, between April 2022 and 23, 141,600 immigrants entered Ireland, the highest since it peaked in 2007. And that's just almost a 2% population increase. And many of these migrants are, as we've seen on our own shores, young, single men, suddenly in an Irish small town. Where there aren't the facilities for them, they're not working, they're bored. So, you know, it's understandable people are worried. And it's not just Ireland we're seeing this. There is, across Europe, this now anti-migrant feeling.
I think you must be psychic, Dawn, because you're
reading your mind.
Stealing all of my thoughts from my head.
We're in sync.
Look, these numbers are huge, and it is the same case across Europe, and it's so noticeable in Ireland as well, particularly in cities that are in rural areas where it's very noticeable that the population has changed quite dramatically in a very short space of time. And it's not just illegal migration. This is also legal migration. This is also the refugees that they've taken in without the infrastructure to support them, including Ukrainian refugees, many of whom have been also sent to rural areas. And as Claire mentioned as well, there was this case late last year where an Algerian migrant stabbed 3 school children and a teacher. And I think it's very difficult for us in the UK to understand the way that politics works in the Republic of Ireland, because it doesn't have the same sort of left-right binary as we have here. And so actually, Leo Varadkar, who is ostensibly on the of a centre-right party, complaining at the time when there were these riots in response to this stabbing, saying that people, rather than addressing the real problem, he was saying that people were afraid of the far right who were protesting. That was a very strange way to frame things, because actually as well in the context of Northern Irish politics, the ruling party are now looking at a loss because of this, and actually Sinn Féin are further ahead in the polls because even though they're a left-wing party, they are a nationalist party, and they are actually the hardest on migration.
That's the irony.
So actually, it's all rather complicated, and I think in the UK it's very difficult for us to understand. But this is a real problem in Ireland, and it's going to be the main subject on which the next election is decided.
It was very interesting when that attack, the Algerian man, as you mentioned, who allegedly, the case is still going through, stabbed 3 school children and a teacher in Dublin. He was described as an Irish citizen because he is an Irish citizen, but the press at the time initially didn't report the fact that he was an Algerian migrant.